This programme is sponsored by Boy Sports, principal sponsor of Birmingham City Football Club, and also M.A. Riley, French Polishers, and of course, Company. I'll get that right every week, don't I?
Practice makes perfect.
Well, you know, I've got a kick. I've got a way to go. We're joined tonight by Mr. Robe himself, Mark Adams. Welcome to the show, Sarah.
Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's New Year started all right. Blues aside.
Marvellous. Alan Watton, who's joining us all the way from down south with a very bad back, so we'll go careful on him tonight. Not.
Good evening, everybody.
From myself, good evening, and of course, Craig Courtney.
Evening, everybody. How are you?
Mr. Hipkiss is off tonight playing football with me. Playing football. And of course, the host of the show, Mrs. Brown herself.
Good evening.
Joined by a megastar. This man I've really wanted to meet all my life. I talk about him so much, as you all know, and I can never tire of talking about him because it's all to do with my very first game at Blues. This is a moment. I'm sorry I can't come and shake your hand, buddy, but, you know, without, I bet it's a bit warm with that cup of tea in it, isn't it, really?
No, but beautiful.
Ladies and gentlemen, somebody I've spoken about for many, many years, Tony Wands. Hello,
everybody.
Tony, welcome to the Tilton Talk Show. Things aren't going so well at St Andrews again. We're out of the FA Cup. We looked deadbeat. We looked down and out. Have you got any money? Well, you know, you don't beat about the bush, do you? No. I mean, that was a dire, abject performance on Saturday. Make no bones about it, right? It wasn't acceptable. Losing Sarkic, massive blow. Down to 10 men, another massive blow. And we're out of the cup to Plymouth Argyle, ladies and gents. Plymouth Argyle, take that in, right? This is almost feels as bad for me as when we got stuffed out by Kidderminster Harriers, who did very well the weekend. Well done, Kidders. You know, beating Queen's Park Rangers, wasn't he? No, Reading.
Yeah.
Reading. They play hoops, don't they? But, you know, Kiddie always seems to have a good run in the cup, but one reason or another, bless them. Right, okay, so we are going to start the show tonight by kind of trying to disseminate what went on Saturday. Craig, you weren't there, were you?
I wasn't there, but I watched it on the television.
You watched it on the TV. So, Mark, you were there. You were there. I couldn't go because of isolation rules, because old wench had the Rona, coughing and a splutching all over. I set her a tent up over the bus stop, so over there. Go on,
it's a good job she's not there.
She's listening. She's in the kitchen listening.
Sweet talking.
She's in the kitchen listening.
You love her, really.
Kitchen woman.
Where she belongs.
So yeah, absolutely. With them mop feet, Mrs. Mop feet. That's what we're going to call her. Mark, you were there. You were there, Mark. Give us a bit of a rundown on what you know, especially try and concentrate on the crowd's reaction as well.
Well, I mean, pre-game, I must admit, I think it was a little bit of a stronger lineup than I thought it would be. I mean, when that team lineup came through, I thought, you know, he's taking it semi-seriously.
Strong team.
I think we all were seeing that line. I knew it weren't going to be a big crowd or nothing like that. But what followed after that was 2 hours of the most appalling, mundane. It's almost like rock bottom. It was that bad. There's hardly any positives from it. I think, but Bellingham coming on to get a bit of game time was quite good to see. With the crowd itself, I mean, dare I say at the end there were a few whispers, a few disenchanted voices actually calling for Mr. Bowie to go. I haven't heard that.
But what do we replace him with? Huh? Well, he's got the club at heart, Mark. You know, and I know he's with us. We saw what his face was like when we beat West Ham at St Andrews. You know, running towards the corner of the Tilton and the main stand there, beaming. That bloke has got Birmingham City running through his blood. There is something fundamentally wrong at our football club from the top.
Well, he came over at the end, Nick, over to Tilton, and he looked absolutely. Obviously, he's just lost the game, but he looked absolutely broken. And I do think a lot of the senior players who played do have to take a look in the mirror. It was left to the kids to carry the fight. That's not right. You know, it's not fair. It's not.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, mate.
Well, yeah, there's no performance. the kids were left to carry carry the fight. I mean, that's encouraging for the future, but
Look, I know we've had issues with COVID, with injuries. Nothing's gone quite our way since Lee Bowyer came in. But you've got to have strength and depth. You've got to have a squad where you can fall back on players in times like this, and we don't seem to have that strength at all anywhere. Look, I do agree with you. The youngsters, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, prodigies. They're obviously going to go on to bigger and better things than Birmingham City Football Club, and that is an absolute shame.
It is. I mean, in some ways, Nick, it was almost like going back in time to the mid to late 80s. Small crowd, not much of an atmosphere, kids having to be chucked on, and I thought, is this 1986 or 87 again? And at the end of the day, we all wanted a cup run. Over the weekend, we've seen all fans going ballistic, getting through to the draw and all this lot, and I'd love some of that.
So who have Plymouth Argyle bagged as well?
Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea. I mean, what an opportunity for Birmingham City to earn some dollar. Chelsea.
Yeah. But it's the usual, not bothered, out the first attempt, and back to the league. So no, it was just shocking, absolutely shocking, awful.
Right, we've had a bit of breaking news while we've been warming up backstage. Craig, could you enlighten us as to the Collective's Facebook post that they put out about 6 or 7 minutes ago, just in case nobody's seen it? Marvellous, mate. We had a little bit of breaking news about the Collective and their post on Facebook a little while ago. Could you read it out in case some of the guys out there haven't seen it?
I can indeed. Let me find it.
Okay. Are we ready?
So, ladies and gents, in short, you will have seen that there has been some speculation and rumour around Tom Ross and an announcement that he placed on social media in regards to a player being contacted in regards to the club. So the announcement that was made is been sitting on this for a while due to the secrecy, but since Tom Ross has broken the news, then we feel obliged to follow it up. Mark Ward was approached by a consortium of interested wealthy people to try and find a British club that they could invest in and build up. Mark suggested Birmingham City as a good option, but that was before they found out the issues involved in acquiring the club from our ownership and its mess. Though we are only one of a few that they have taken interest to, the consortium, which isn't English based, may be the most difficult area for us to be purchased in. But on the plus side, they are not the only interested party. The hardest part is getting BSHL to part with us, which will be far from easy. Never say never is our favourite motto, or if you prefer, keep right on. And that was announced by the Collective on Facebook about 24 minutes ago.
Interesting, very interesting. Going to bring our guest in, Tony. Was it like this back in your day? Or didn't you get to hear much about what was going on in upstairs and in the offices?
No, you didn't hear anything looking back. Not back in the early 60s and 60s. I couldn't even tell you who the board were, what their names were when I was at Tottenham. You only knew the manager, and that was it really, and the trainer, and etc. And the rest of the ground staff, really, that was it.
Was that better, do you think, than it is now?
I don't. The game's changed so much now. It's very money orientated in every shape and form now. Assistant this and assistant that, and there's that many different jobs now that I'm not saying what I prefer, but it seemed a bit easier to understand. It's a bit like VAR and offside rules. It's difficult now, isn't it, to understand how it works. It was quite simple in the old days. If you was offside, you was offside.
Yeah.
And that was it. End of story.
Didn't take a genius back then, did it?
No, just to put your flag up, didn't you? But they can't even do that now.
I mean, from what seems to be coming through, owners of the problem from Adam Walsh. Oh, blimey. Guys in the studio are mega loud compared to Zoom. Chris Brown, did you sort that one out from Alan Wilkes? All about the financial situation. Mike Ashley, somebody's mentioned Mike Ashley. I don't think I'd want Mike Ashley anywhere within 5 miles of Birmingham, let alone the club. To be honest with you, what he's done up at Newcastle. I don't know what we ain't got the answers. We don't know, do we? What do we do, Craig? What do we do?
I mean, people are talking about Mike Ashley going to Derby.
Yeah.
I agree. I wouldn't want him at the club. However, if he could form a consortium with people to come in, and he wasn't a sole shareholder and the owner of the club, then he's got a proven record of getting clubs out of trouble. He's got a proven record of getting them promoted. Problem is, he doesn't like spending the money like our owners at the moment. So, does it get us anywhere? I don't think we're any better off. We need a consortium of blue blood. We need somebody to re-inject that love and passion for the club back into us.
I mean, following on from that, Craig, people have mentioned the likes, Trevor Francis, Jasper Carrot, and so on. I don't realistically think they can afford, as rich as they are.
In all respects to both of those guys, yeah, I think they both had their day in football now. Not being disrespectful to either Trevor or Jasper, but like they're old blokes now, aren't they? You know what I mean? Yep. You want some young, inspiring, somebody with attitude, somebody with a bit of gump, somebody with a bit of who ain't afraid to put the boot in occasionally. Because what we've got at the minute is it's just wishy-washy. It's terrible. We don't know when the stand's opening. I mean, we're a championship football ground, second biggest city in the country. We can't even open a football stand, for crying out loud's sake. And you look at it, and that Arthur slag in the middle there is absolutely beautiful and poignant. But the rest of it is just a shambles, an absolute diabolical shambles of a football club. It really is.
I don't know if did anybody read Dan Ivory's piece today?
I haven't read it yet, no, but I will do.
I don't know if you read it, Craig.
It's a fantastic piece.
It's good piece, yeah.
I echo every sentiment that he put in there.
Okay, just kind of highlight what he's getting at there, then, buddy.
He's in short saying how the club, not just with fans but in general, is numb, and the people are now at the point where they're beginning to turn away from the club. And I've seen it in the comments that we get through the show, but also from other sites where people are like, we're not going back. COVID stopped people from going. There was an excuse. That is, I'm not saying it's gone, it hasn't gone, but people can go to the game, but no, they don't want to go because of what's happening with the owners. And it's a very sad time. I felt so disgruntled myself. I wasn't there, but I felt so disgruntled on Saturday and angry over the performance. And I've got to say, I watched the Birmingham ladies yesterday. Those ladies, bottom of the league, hadn't won a game. Showed passion, showed promise, desire, everything we want the men to do, they showed. And they turned Arsenal over yesterday. It was almost opposite to what it should have been. Arsenal top, Birmingham bottom. It was like the other way round. And if our men's team could do the same, we wouldn't be in this position, and we would be drawing people back, not pushing them away.
Right, okay, we'll change tack a little bit then for a while, because we've got Tony once in the studio. I'd like to get know you a little bit more, Tony. Have you enjoyed your cup of tea?
Absolutely brilliant. Chris, right. When's the next one?
I'll bring your toast over in a bit.
Right, Tony, as I was saying earlier, I never got to see you on my first game because you'd had your leg broken up at Newcastle the week previous. But I remember my dad, as I say, taking me up that Coventry Road and saying this could be a bit noisy, it could be a bit of an hour here today because the fans were a bit mad that you got your leg busted. How much of an impact did that have on your career?
Well, I suppose a fair bit. I was out for the best part of 10 months or whatever, and the only good thing was back in training. It was the season had finished, and so I had the summer to get myself fit, and I managed to be able to go to America for 3 months and play. Right. Yeah, it's just solid football for 3 months and come back. And when the season was about to start, the following season, Freddie, who was manager at the time, Freddie Goodwin, he just said, like, rather than go up and down, that sort of thing, and tackling and that, he played me in the middle at the back. And to be honest, after that, little bit of success-wise, it's probably the best few years we had through the mid-70s. We had the bragging rights for the best part of 3 years. And so, it could have been good in that way. In other ways, no, not really, because you're out for a long time and you're a bit like isolated, really. You're on your own. But no, it did have a difference. It must have done, because I ended up playing in different positions and that. So
right, okay.
Well,
what part of America did they send you off to?
Well, back then, I had the option. It was Philadelphia, and
Right.
as I say, it was only the 3 months and then straight back. But I eventually went out there with Fred about seven or so years later, but that was in Minnesota, in the Midwest, and I was out there for nearly 5 years.
Okay.
So,
Explain to some of our youngsters, Tony, what it was like to be a player in front of the Cop and the Tilton when it was back in the day.
well, I think back then, I don't think you just listening to the lads speaking about it earlier and that. I don't think we won't see those days again, because it was standing and they really were packed. The stands were packed. We always had fantastic crowds, and you always had volume. So in a way, it was almost worth a goal at home sometimes. I suppose a bit like Liverpool are at Anfield. Not so much certain clubs, but for Blues it was as well. And teams never really liked to come and play there.
No.
You know, it wasn't a give me sort of game. They didn't like playing. And also, Blues at the time, I would say, were one of the best away supported clubs in the division as well, because
Wow.
you know, I've been to places away from home with them when you could hear our crowd more than the home crowd.
Oh, easily, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
we used to run football specials, though, didn't they, from New Street? And, you know, we'd all
Wow.
pile on the train and, you know, you'd be hanging out the windows and screaming and shouting and going mental.
I mean, I don't know if that'll come about like as well until they're going to try standing again, but not that we want any more disasters. We don't, but you know, we're not likely to have it at Blues because no one's allowed in, are they, round that side? It's just starting to open it.
Do you get to many games, Tony?
Yeah, I've been to a few this year. I don't go too many times because I'm not, you know, I can't always go. But the most amazing was the first game of the season, Stoke, because it was the opening day and no club had a person in their crowd for a year.
No.
And then they couldn't open it because it needed fixing. So they'd only had 11 months to do it beforehand, so I suppose they couldn't get the job done.
I mean, does anybody know the state of what's going on? I mean, it's like...
No.
See, it's shameful watching it on the TV. Watching that on the TV makes my blood boil.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult.
It's embarrassing.
Well, it could only happen really to Blues. I mean, we've said it a few times, but you know, whether the lights would go out or something, it always normally something would happen there, wouldn't it? And that's it. It's just the way it is. You kind of get used to it in a way.
Yeah. Right, Tim Faraday's chucked a question into the melting pot, Tony. Hi, Tony. Were you in the team at my first game, 1975 at Stamford Bridge? We lost 2-1. That started my love affair with the Blues. Keep right on, mate.
1975.
Yeah. Chelsea, 2-1 loss.
I may not have been, reason being, because when I broke my leg, it was in the October of 74. And I was out for the best part of the year, so I might have, that season I didn't play much at the beginning. It was 74, 75, 76, 77, 78.
Right.
That was, but I virtually missed out on the whole of 75.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that. One here from Caroline McCarthy Gufflin. Evening, everybody from Tenerife.
Lucky
We
person.
hate her. We hate
Don't
her.
we? We all hate her.
We hate her.
Question to Tony. Did Tony ever read the match reports in the Evening Mail or the Birmingham Post or the Pink? And did you care what the press ever had to say?
Oh, that's Dom Kavanagh, that is that.
Oh yeah, well it used to be the the Argus, didn't it, back in the day? I think.
Argus, yeah.
And the guy on the radio, who was that? Who they used to phone in after the game?
That's our friend Tom, isn't it?
Tom Ross?
No, not
Tom
Tommy Ross. No, Tommy well.
Was it Mr.
Tony
Butler?
Tony
Yeah,
Butler.
that's it. Tony Butler. It was him.
On your mic!
He used to just get rid of him if he didn't want to listen to. I'll go home and put the phone down. Job done.
Yeah. He says it as it was.
No, but yeah, the Argus was the thing, wasn't it? Yeah, you always read it, I suppose. But you can't take too much of it in, I suppose, with newspapers, because you see that everyone sees the game different, don't you? You know, you normally know. You don't need telling if you've had a really bad game, and you don't need patting on the back too much if you've had a good one.
No.
I think you'd know.
Question from Dean Madams. Best player Tony ever played with and against?
Well, there's the best player at Blues would be Trevor, and obviously there was a few really good players at Tottenham, you know, back in the Jimmy Greaves days, but there was also phenomenal players out in America. I think so many Europeans were going out there in '78 that you literally had the lot out there. I mean, everyone from like Beckenbauer, Cruyff, Neeskens, all the Dutch players, all the German players. It was unbelievable how many were playing out there. But they were all probably past their sell-by date, admittedly, but they could still play. But Trevor at Blues, I think, goes without saying, because he was so quick, and he was young at the time. He was phenomenal, really, and but played against. I don't know, really. There's in the old days of the wingers, the worst winger to play against then, although he never did great for England, was Peter Thompson.
Right.
But he played outside left, but for Liverpool in the days of Callaghan and Thompson. But no fullbacks used to like having to play 1-on-1 against him, because he used to take you to the cleaners most of the time. But foreign players, there's so many, and they're all phenomenal players. And the players we had over here, like George Best and players like that.
See, I'm very lucky, because like I can remember them players coming to Birmingham City, you know, and playing our stadium. You know, the youngsters. That's why I was trying to get you to say, you know, about what the players' perspective was on the pitch, because we just haven't got that kind of atmosphere. We haven't got that aura about the place anymore. And it's all gone, you know, incredibly sterile. And you know, to see players like that, Bobby and Jack Charlton walking out onto St Andrews, you know, what an absolute honour.
Yeah.
And for you to play against people like that.
Well, you don't think. I mean, as a kid, I used to go each week, go to watch football, and it was Tottenham one week with the kids who were Spurs supporters, and it was Arsenal the next if they were Arsenal supporters. But you saw all the players that you knew and you'd heard about when you were 10, 11. You managed to see them, which when you're really young you remember. I mean, my favourite player then was Dennis Law when he came back from Italy, because he had all the movements about him. And we've all got our favourite players, but that he was the first one who kind of had an impact on me. And like you say, Bobby Charlton as a player, but there was a few as well. We've had some good English players, and luckily I never thought I'd ever play with the likes of Jimmy Greaves. It just happened, you know, and that's it's just a dream that comes true, isn't it? You know.
Tony, Tony, did you play against Pele?
No, well, when I went out there, Pele had just literally hung up his boots, and he used to do like what do we call it over here? He worked on behalf of the club. He was at New York Cosmos. Yeah, he was like an ambassador for the club, and I did manage to. I went to a function, and he was there, and we had to just say a couple of words. And we used to have to carry all these postcards of pictures of yourself to give to the people. And so I just my son was born out there, so he's in his 40s now, but he was born in about 1979 while I was out there. And Pele had this picture, black and white picture, and I said, could you sign your picture for me, for my son? And he put on it like to James, like all the best, Pele, like, you know. So he knew how to write. So I said to him, "Do you want mine?" A little postcard, you know, like from the beach, like. He went, "No, you're right, mate." But yeah, he was not. He was always nice as a guy, like. But I was unfortunate. Never played against him. He'd hung his boots up by then.
I did see him in 1975. I think in 75 he came to St Andrews, wasn't it?
He played at Villa as well. Did I say Villa? Give me a smack. Give me a smack.
What did we
It's
say
all right.
before we started?
I've just had a dig in the ribs for that. I'm sorry.
And I can tell you now, for nothing, Mr. One, you've just had your last cup of tea and all, pal.
I know. Well, the cup's already gone off the table.
Can you just have just a quick word? Craig, I think we need to really address the elephant in the room, I think they say, isn't it? Regarding what we are going to do and what we've been doing today regarding getting an extra show in.
Yeah, so we've been talking, people talking to their people, as they say, with the Blues Trust. And what we want to do is we're looking to put a show together, and we'll confirm some dates. There will be a Q&A session with the Blues Trust, where it will be, and others. It will be very open. It will be an opportunity for people to shout questions around what are the Trust doing, them tell us the work that has been completed. But also, it's an opportunity for people to air their feelings in more detail that perhaps then we can get to the club with. We all know there will be an upcoming forum for fans, and perhaps from this show we can take questions with the aid of the Trust towards taking that forward. So watch out for more details, but we are planning something where everybody will get an opportunity to have a say.
Can I also say that the people that are going to be on this show are people that know a bit more than like what we do.
We do.
Right, so it's not just the Trust.
We can't go into great details yet because
we're about 90% there, 95% there, with some brilliant guests who know what they're talking about.
So watch out for that, guys, because that will be an absolute belter. And as Craig has said, you've got your opportunity to ask your questions. Right? I'll have my opportunity to ask my questions. As will Craig, as will anybody else and everybody else that is on the show. And when I say on the show, if your name shows up on that shout box, you're on the show. That's it. Okay? So watch out for that. We are doing stuff in the background, but we can't go into great detail as to what, where, and why. Okay. Tony. Jason McDonald. If Tony could give a message to the Blues team now, what would it be? Keep right
on. Well,
keep it
it's a difficult message because I've not been in a position of ever managing teams or anything. But I think looking at it really from the beginning of the season, we just do miss having a leader, someone who's got a little bit of fire in them, and like players you all know who have been there and they can put their fist up and you know, even if it's not going too well for them on the pitch at the time, they never change. It's the way they are, and those players are few and far between. But we drastically need somebody like that in the team first and foremost, and they don't come along. That's what I'm saying. It just don't come along every day, and that's the difficult thing now. I do appreciate that all teams need money to buy, but the prices now are extortionate for players. That's why, you know, we've got so many foreign players coming in because they can get them cheaper than it costs for the local English lads virtually now, the way it's going. So I just, as far as the players go, when you go out, it's just the pride of playing. They're not playing just for themselves. They're playing for their mates and they're playing for the crowd. And the crowd love the Blues so much. And until they must know that, you know, because when they're behind you, they're really behind you, you know. And that, like I say, away from home as well. It's not just at home. They've had a phenomenal following away from home. Well, it used to be, especially in the 60s and that and 70s. And even the game at the Millennium in the final with Liverpool, you couldn't hear the Liverpool supporters compared to the Blues. There's no comparison.
Off the scale,
yeah,
wasn't it?
You know, you'll never see the likes of that again. Well, you will. But, you know...
United are winning 1-0. Enjoy the moment.
That's all right. No. It's a bit of good news. No, let's hope we can replicate that. But they've been a sleeping giant for too long now, I think, Blues. It's just, you know...
I said at the beginning of the show, though, Tony, second biggest city in the country bears the name of Birmingham.
Yeah.
It just defies all knowledge that some super rich Manchester City owner or something like that hasn't come along and said, you know what, I'm snapping that name up, I'm having it. We're having that, mate.
Yeah.
But we get it. We've had it for years, haven't we? We're a big city with a big population. Why aren't we packing out that ground?
Well, I think now as well, like you mentioned it earlier, people are not turning up at times now, mainly because we all support teams as a kid, especially if it's your local team, and you normally support a team that you've either heard of a player or you've seen them and you want to go and support them, and they're there for the rest of your life then. And the older you get, and it's starting to get really difficult to watch, then you stop. I know some really staunch Blues fans who don't go at all now.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, and I know a few, you know.
It's a real. Sorry to jump in, Tony, but it is been a real chore now to go again. You do it, it's in the blood, but it's not enjoyable. It's a chore. But like I say, when you're hooked on it, you can't kick the habit.
People want to go and they just want to see where, if they turn out on the pitch and they show pride, passion, and they sweat and blood for that shirt and that badge, but go and lose 3-0, as fans, we don't care.
No, well,
but we're not seeing it.
You're right, because the saying was back in the 60s, the crowd love a trier, and regardless, and there's been loads of bread and butter players, but if they see you giving your all and you're getting your shirt dirty, they don't mind that. And okay, it's a little bit more difficult now. You've got to be careful. You can't tackle anybody. I mean, it should be called handball anyway, not football, because they use their arms more than their feet, don't they? You know, they get more work with their hands than they do with their feet. It's only the keeper that uses his feet now.
Dean Madams has posed a question: which is the fiercest derby, Tony? The Birmingham derby or the Spurs Arsenal one?
Well, without that, Blues and Villa, because
he said it again.
I said it again. I'm on an hat trick.
You're on a yellow card.
As long as I only get one yellow, not two, otherwise I'll be out of here, wouldn't I? No, the Blues, that was the thing when I first came. We don't care where we finish in the league, even if we have to get relegated, we've got to beat Villa. Well, we waited a couple of 3 seasons before it was possible because, Blues had come up from the second, Villa were in the third and come up to the second and into the first. So it was a long wait, but we did have albeit the very first one was at Villa Park, and we actually lost 2-1. And a father-in-law of mine, who's passed away long since now, bless, but he came and he was a rank Arsenal supporter, and he said, I have never seen an atmosphere like that. That was at Villa Park. Then we played the return game a bit later in the season, was at Blues. It was electrifying, and we actually won that game, and then we were we were fortunate enough to win the double the next 2 years. So
that first one, Tony, was it 3-1?
2-1. The first one.
Was that the time when they had the Tilton Road and they had all like pink and blue little balloons and all?
Oh but that was the home game. That was the second game. Yeah, but that was at Blues. That was 3-2.
That was my first derby. That was my very first.
Oh,
derby.
that was 3-2. Yeah,
it was phenomenal. The noise, just look at that goosebumps, mate. Look at that. Look at that.
No, I've got to admit, if you're not fired up for that, if Blues could, I shouldn't say it because there were some great players in the team then, but if Blues could have gone out and every game was that game, I think we'd have done 4 times better than what we did, if that makes sense. And you say, well, why should you how can you raise it for that game and not others? But there was an adrenaline rush when you played that game.
I'll tell you why we raise it. I'll tell you why we as fans raise it as well. Because we sit here in June waiting for that fixture list to come out, and the second it does, you're on it. When are we playing them at home and when are we playing them away? Book my holidays. Get them. Them days are off.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Immediately.
Oh no, massive games. more so. Don't forget, Arsenal was known as the library if you was a Tottenham fan.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, it's the quietest place on the planet. So, it was never really... It was a bigger game, Spurs against West Ham, than playing Arsenal, albeit they're the closest two together, like distance-wise. But no, it's just the way it is. Where Villa and Blues, that's my hat-trick.
No more cups of tea for you.
Them and us was the biggest.
It's because I've already opened the door. He's going out by the window. In
I'm
fact,
going to bring you some toast round as well.
Tony,
Don't bother getting this coat. Get it myself. Up to you, Alan.
Tony, as someone who saw your debut for Blues, I probably saw you play for Tottenham as well. There's a book that was brought out called The Glory Game, which was a fly on the wall book about the Spurs season the year before you came to us. And you got a mention on the last page, and it said, Tony Want has joined Birmingham. And it didn't explain how that came about. It just said that you'd been sort of on the fringe of the team all year and decided you wanted to come to us. And how did it actually come about?
Well, I think it was the end of the '72 season, wasn't it? The week Blues came up and the phone went, and it was Bill Nicholson saying, "We've had Freddie Goodwin on the phone," and he told me that they wanted me to go up there and have a chat with them, and he just said, I think it's a bit unfair to you in a way, like you've been. And in them days, we only had one sub. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
And we always
subs.
Yeah. Well, Tottenham always had a forward at home, and they normally had a defender away. Yeah. And there was one season, after season, I was the sub away from home, and we were on an appearance money to get your appearance. So someone like Cyril Knowles, who was playing for England as well at that time, I think, we'd be playing somewhere and he would give me a little wink with about 15 minutes to go, and if we were winning, like I'd go on, he'd come off, he'd limp off, and then I'd go on, get me appearance money. Well, one night at Arsenal, we were 2-0 up, there's about 25 minutes to go, and he started winking at the box. I was going, no, you're right, stay on for another 10 minutes, like jokingly, and he came off, and I went on, and 2 minutes later, Arsenal got a corner, came over, and there was a shot. It was all blocked, and somebody knocked the rebound in. So it was 2-1. And then we had to sort of like hold out for 20 minutes, and I seen him, I said, Cyril, don't you ever get coming off like that again. And he says, what's your appearance money? I said, I know. Well, the reason they tried so hard to do it for me, like, because the wages then for the local lads was laughable, really. It was very poor. And they wouldn't believe you now. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. But at the time when I got in the first team in '67, after we won the cup, they had to make me money up to 20 quid a week. Because that was a minimum wage then. So that's what I'm saying. So I was on a decent appearance money, not mega money, but more than what I was earning. So, and that was how it was. So they used to do that. But you could never, I was never sub at home. So I wasn't going to get the appearance money then. No. But anyway, I went up to...
You were the first player we signed, as you say, after promotion. And, we were used to buying people from Swindon and Carlisle and Bolton and whatever. And suddenly we signed somebody from Tottenham. Wow. You're the big name, and to know that it was only on 20 quid a week, it's a bit of a shock.
No, well, that was when I was at Tottenham, like. But I came up and I went and had lunch with Freddie, and I said, well, I'll go back and I'll think about things, And he said, well, we could do with getting it over with because we're going to Italy in a couple of days on a trip, on a tour, because the season was finished now. And I signed, and I went back to me. My dad was there. I said, Dad, I've signed for Birmingham. And the amazing thing was, at that time when we all first got our pay packets, we was all they were all looking at their pay packets, all under each other's noses, and they're going, how come I paid a shilling more tax than you, and how come you've got 6p more than he has? And we were all on the same money, everyone. So there weren't there was no top men there. It was one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, it was funny.
But do take that in, people. 20 quid.
Yeah.
20 quid. 20 quid.
Oh no, that was only if you played. I weren't on that during every other game. If I
right.
weren't playing, I weren't getting 20 quid. No, back then, I played in the under-19s, the England. We went on a tour and went up and down the country playing games, and then we went on the World Cup thing. And we had a few players and from London. One was like Trevor Brooking, Frank Lampard, that's Frank, who you know his dad, Frank's dad. Yeah. Peter Shilton, who was a Midlands type player. We had a lad from Charlton who was in their first team, and then we had Steve Kember, who was at Crystal Palace, who was in the Crystal Palace first team. And every one of us was on £12.50 a week, everyone, and all the kids from up north, like Brian Kidd, Joe Raw and Colin Todd and all these, we had a really good team. And they was all on about £22 then.
Oh,
that's when we was like just on 18 years of age.
Oh,
yeah, that's the truth.
Oh, Joe,
I ain't got too much savings left.
That 20 quid. Joe Donahue said, Tony, a great humour from you, mate, and you were a great servant to the Blues.
Absolutely.
Are you Blues Brothers on the show? You're the salt of the earth and put some light on a very dark time for blues. Thanks a million.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you're well loved. You're well loved.
Just to put it in perspective, it sounds rough, but you could buy a Mini for £400 then, brand new.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right, okay,
Nicholas.
Nicholas Wellsbury's joined us. He's one of our deaf supporters, and he's advertising the fact that it's his birthday. He's going to be 50 on the 27th of January. No place to advertise a birthday, my friend. This is no place to advertise your birthday. It must not happen.
He looks a lot older. What do people make of the McGree situation? Isn't that a strange one?
Can
Go on, Craig. Go on, Craig. Are you dying to say something, Craig? Go on.
I'm just thinking it's how much of it is paper talk. Honestly, if I was put in a room and I had to sit with a journalist, or I had to sit with Lee, if Lee turned around and says he's going because he's going to contract and he's going to America, and you've got a journo that's saying no, he's going to Middlesbrough or Celtic, I know who I'd believe, and I know money talks.
It does, yeah.
But £2 million, if that is correct, number one, is very, very cheap for a player that stood out in the Championship. And actually, for me, if I was Ryan McGree, I'd be thinking to myself, I don't want to be Championship. I'd rather look at maybe a lower end of the Premier League team where I'm still going to get games, but I want to move to the top levels. I don't know whether it's true. I can't see it.
Yeah, you'd want your £22.50, wouldn't you, kid?
So, what do you think of the... so, do you reckon he'll go to Celtic?
That would be the only logical place, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
The manager's Australian.
Yeah.
And he would be playing... I think that they're not in Europe anymore, are they? But he would be in 12 months' time.
12 months' time, yeah.
Middlesbrough, I mean, what? Why would you want to go there? If he doesn't want to... If they won't let him stop here, why would they let him go to Middlesbrough? And the other thing I can't understand is this guy is halfway through a season... Yet they want him to go and do a pre-season for a month. He could have stayed with us for that month and joined up. Okay, he'd have had to play some pre-season games, but he'd been he'd been fitter than all of them. That bugs me. I mean, there's more to it, and this transfer talk makes me suspicious now that it wasn't just about contract, but as you say, it's the paper talk. But it's worrying that we're being dumped on, basically.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And if it's the difference between 2 million and footing salaries, then actually you've got a question. I know they say we got no money, but we must have something in the pot. I mean, we went out and bought a striker for £2 million who's been on loan, and he's out there not doing anything at the moment. So if we can do that, why couldn't we go after somebody like McGree?
But just look at how much revenue we're losing though, week in, week out, because that stand isn't open. It's not just the seats on bums. It's the shirts, it's the pies, it's the beers, it's everything.
I don't know, Nick, because I mean,
we've got to be leaking a fortune with it.
We mentioned it, I think, on one of the groups today, that I mean we weren't getting much more than that before the stands closed.
We can't fill what we've got now. If we can't fill what we got now, there's no demand for tickets. Therefore, you open it up, and we're not going to fill it. Not unless you charge a £5 or a £1 every single game to get people through the door, and you'd probably still end up losing.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, going back to the cup game on Saturday, I'd have done that. I'd have said, kid fiver, across the board. Maybe £3 even for season ticket holders. Yeah. You still only get about 12,000-13,000, I think.
I think so.
Wasn't a good point here. He says, shoot me down, but he didn't McGree only stand out because of how poor we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Probably right, yeah. But he was a good player amongst a lot of poor players.
My old mate Vic Singh, VAR, there you go, sadly, yes. Probably use the money we paid them for taking Monk and his team from Steve Portman. Why is it we can't just have some good fortune? Come on, this has been 11 years.
We're Birmingham City, Nick. We don't get fortune.
Have we ever known any different? We never known anything.
We haven't known it. We've known ninth in the Premier League. We've known the trip into Europe. We've known beating, the scum in the quarter-final, coming back from being, probably out of that cup final against West Ham. The Ipswich game, the Blues Villa games, all them go, and the history of it all going on and it's just every single week we ain't got a good thing to say.
I mean, Tony, going back to the FA Cup, you as a player, did you look forward to the FA Cup? Were you like a kid? Were you excited about the draw, and did you, gather around to watch it and stuff?
Yeah, I think the FA Cup was that, and the league. It was even bigger than the league in some way, because it was a thing that was on TV all on the day, the final. Every kid knew about it. Every adult who went to the football games knew about it. Everyone wanted to go there and say they'd been to a Wembley final, and so we were growing up in that era when that's what it was all about. But because of all these other things they've brought in now, and everything's to do with more money involved by putting more different competitions and that, it's getting there that it doesn't mean too much to some of the clubs anymore, if that makes sense.
A 5 o'clock kickoff for the FA Cup final.
I don't see the logic in that, but there you go.
No. But the day, Tony, when we was kids, and I don't know how old you are. I was 60 on Christmas Day. I've mentioned it before. But that day was just so special. It didn't matter that your team wasn't in that cup final. You supported a team for that day, right? And you wanted that team to win as much as you'd want your own team to win it. That's what it was like for us when we were kids. And the build-up and the news, and they'd be going through the streets of the towns and the cities and that, and it was just amazing. It was just undescribable. And for you youngsters that are watching this tonight, you'll never sadly experience that.
No, that's
and
unfortunate.
It really is, because that's what football was all about in the 70s. And to see it now, can't even raise a song.
Huh? And youngsters to me and Nick are people below 50.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, we're sorted, Mark. There's a great comment coming on the shout box, and I've seen it a couple of times actually over the past couple of days, and it's from John Smith, and he's saying that when Sullivan and co were at the club, we actually didn't realise at the time how good we had it.
We didn't.
And
did we
there
ever
were
think we'd say that?
Yeah, lots of people happy they had to go. They were not putting anything into the club and stuff like that. But actually, what have we had to celebrate since then? Apart from the cup, we've seen nothing but lows. And I, for one, would say actually, I'd have them back tomorrow. I'd have them back tomorrow.
But as somebody else wants an opinion here, Paula Thompson, Sullivan Gold sold us down the river to Young.
If somebody offered you twice the value of your house,
Exactly, yeah, money talks.
money talks. It's they're businessmen.
They offered
That's
crazy
it.
money.
That's right. Everything's for sale in business.
Yeah.
Yeah, they offered crazy
And
money.
somebody, Tony, I'll take you back to this. Just mentioned again, going back to the FA Cup final. Let's see if I can find it. But no, I can't see it, matey. But it was reenacting that game in the back garden after the final whistle. You'd reenact that game. You'd do it over and over and over again. And then, we'd be at school and half the school would support one team, the other half would support the other. And there'd just be a battle in the playground. It was mayhem. It was absolutely brilliant. Kicking lumps out of each other.
We used to have to relive it all up against the brick wall because there weren't... I never see a tree till I come up here.
And, it was Michael Woods that picked that up. Thanks, Michael, for that. Yeah, brilliant.
But I look back and it was just concrete. But you put a couple of jumpers down on the floor and that was your goal, wasn't it? And that was how it was. The facilities are better now. They're never back in the day. But that was the game that everybody watched every year. And I can reel them off from the mid-50s through till about 1970. But if someone said to me who won the Cup 3 years ago, I wouldn't have a clue.
I ain't got a clue. I haven't got a clue.
But you just remember it and remember the names of the goal scorers, didn't you, and everything as a kid.
Going back, would it be late 70s when Coventry City won the... that was the magic of it, wasn't it? Absolute magic of the FA Cup final was that one day. And the guy... in his white uniform, on that scaffolding, in the centre circle, winding the two set supporters up. And it was all done in fun and banter. And I can tell you something else as well, right? When the lap of honour was done after the game, both sets of supporters stopped to honour both
teams.
The teams, right?
Yeah.
Both the teams. You look at it now, when we played Arsenal, 4 minutes later, that ground was half empty.
Yeah.
That's true.
No, it was an event. It was a bit like the Grand National, that sort of thing. It used to be, or anything like that. A big day.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali fighting.
Yeah,
there were memorable moments.
It's a little bit different now. Money has killed it a little bit. It's like all this. The amount of games now you play to a World Cup to qualify. Why do they have all these? They have all these qualifying games for countries. No, half of us have never heard of some of them, and they're not going to get in the block. And so it works out to have about 5-6 lots of groups where the ones that are going to qualify out of the groups virtually, don't you? Every year, and it's just because it's money. All of it.
Saturated, aren't we, Tony? We're just saturated with football. As much as we love it, we're just...
yeah.
And another great memory, John Smith, pints of milk for players interviewed after the game. Happy days, whole family watched. Superb. Superb, mate. Absolutely superb.
I think we have to say well done to our sponsors as well. I think Craig, I think they helped out our disabled group.
They did indeed.
As well.
Borg Sports, big shout out and thank you for the support, especially to our Excessi Blues counterparts who they actually supported when couldn't get tickets all together at the ground, so actually donated the box for them for the game, which is absolutely brilliant. And also they had sponsoring corporate as well for Sunday's game, so disappointment Saturday and jubilation on Sunday, so thank you to those guys.
Testament, isn't it, though? We've got half the ground shut. We can't even accommodate our disabled supporters in one area.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Some of my night up that.
And talking of the ladies, shout out to Darren and his backroom staff with Marcus Bignett. What a result for the ladies on Sunday. Didn't catch all the game, saw the second half, and they were absolutely brilliant. My comment afterwards, they showed the passion and pride that we want the men to do, but it's great to see them actually just after that break a totally different team. And
bit of a shock as well.
Huge shock.
Yeah, what was it? What was the odds?
50 to 1. The odds for Birmingham to win that game before kick-off. So absolutely brilliant that they did it. And we took on board everybody's feedback as well. If you haven't seen the note, we are looking to incorporate the ladies' game a little bit more into the show. So watch out for some further details, maybe some guest appearances from the team as well.
Commentary from Mr. Hitkiss, who's now finished his game of football. Said it before, and it's sad that a team would rather finish fourth in the Premier League than win the FA Cup. The winners of the FA Cup and League should qualify for the Champions League automatically. You're more of a champion than finishing third or fourth. Absolutely, couldn't agree with you. And we've just been reminded that it was Impact for Sunday's game as well as World Sports, yeah? Impact. So we've got to give a shout out to them guys as well. Yeah, but what a nice gesture! What a nice gesture!
Fantastic, fantastic gesture. So let's get back. I know we're going to do a program on this, but what would you like to see done, Nick?
Me? Yeah. Una's gone. You know what? It's just making me too sad and angry to think about it. It really is, Chris. Owner's gone, obviously. Somebody who cares.
Yeah.
We thought we had it a couple of years ago. You know, we've got Davo and Claire working side by side, and there was things, happening, and information was coming out, but it was nice stuff. It was all about helping the community, and it's just all gone dead and stale. And don't ever, Birmingham City, get rid of Pucker Pies again. Never ever get rid of my Pucker Pies. I'm telling you.
And I can remember we all got excited when Ernst and Young found us a buyer.
Yep.
It's.
I think one thing that would be wrong would be, just my personal opinion, would be to boycott. I don't think that'd serve any purpose.
No.
That's my own personal opinion.
You can forget your bed sheets, right? Dunno might be having a sale at the minute, but they've all been snapped up by somebody else up the road, all right? So you can forget bed sheets at St Andrews, because that, for me, crying out bed sheets at St Andrews, my God.
Yeah, please don't.
What can we do as fans? I'll tell you what we can do as fans. We can do what Craig's doing in the background at the minute, and what this show is hoping to bring together, a group of people who will voice their opinions on everybody else's behalf. But then you, again, have got that opportunity to join in with us and voice your opinion too. Oh, and believe me, Birmingham City Football Club see the comments on the shout box and they watch the show. We know that.
Oh, they do, yeah. Can also reiterate that you will be asking questions to people who will know the answers, or they will and they will know more than what we do.
I think in terms of the club, we've lost that blue drive both internally, and the fans are losing it as well. We need to, you look at the people that were there inside the club that are no longer with us, and they were with us through thick and thin. They were Blues fans. They knew what made not just the club tick, but us as fans. We haven't got that there now, and we need that. We need that back. The Davo is still there, but doesn't get as involved as what he did before. We had Julia, who was in the background doing all of the fantastic work with the financials, and we lost Julia. We had Colin Tatham. All of these people were Blues through and through. Without that, the inside of the club can't thrive. We need that back. So people coming in through the door, great. We might get some new owners, but also listen to the fans, see what the fans want, and help us rebuild the fantastic club that we have had in the past and we want back.
This has been the problem, isn't it?
Talk to us.
This has been the problem. The fans haven't been listened to at all.
No.
And I think when the fans were listened to, when Dave and Claire and the mothers that you mentioned, Craig, were there, perhaps the ownership didn't like it.
And don't get me wrong, I think things are being tried. The fantastic gesture at the weekend and the ongoing support with young Arthur and the Arthur's game this time is brilliant, and that shows the family side of it. That's just a small part of it, though. We need everything else to develop around it. Nick, you're right. Listen to us. Listen
to the fans, because I tell you what, my time's coming to an end. You know what I mean? I'm 60 years old now, and it's all about the youngsters. Now, we've just lost 2 years of new youngsters coming into our football club. through COVID, right? And have they gone off and played chess, or are they interested in something else? Have we lost them forever? What can we do to get them back? What can we do as fans to get them back? There are other things you can do. Clean the filthy, stinking mess up outside for a start off, or get on to the council to get it done. I've ranted on that one God knows how many times, but it's still the same.
I do like this one from Paul Ipkiss. He says, we're the equivalent to running a fish and chip shop with no potatoes.
Like a pub with no beer. That was a song, that was, Mark. Would you believe it? A pub with no beer. Tony, you can see our frustrations as fans, yeah, and I know you've been involved with the club pretty much most of your life, really. How does it make you feel, what you're watching again, all over?
Well, as I say, I appreciate where you're coming from, and I do understand how the people feel, because there's nothing quite like being successful. That helps, and amazing, because the more successful you are, the more people are going to come and see you. But it has dragged on a bit now. From we're at 2022 now. It seems like yesterday was 2000.
Yeah.
And not too much has really happened. We've had a few little halcyon weeks, when it's come in, but it's not really been ongoing, and we've been up and down. We have got back and we've slipped back down, but we're at a time now where it's probably the lowest for years, like where we are in the league and how we're playing as well. That's the main issue of it all. But at the moment, we just need a few new faces, I suppose. But it's easier said than done. I appreciate that. It must be so difficult for the man in charge,
It makes my heart bleed, I'll be honest with
you. Yeah, it must be difficult because, he's quite limited, really, isn't he? It's not like you got like these the Guardiolas. He can pick two teams that could hold their own in a division, let alone just one. But I feel a bit sad for them, really, and the crowd deserve more, because they're what you really call hardcore supporters, and they're not, and it's getting a little bit smaller each season that goes by without some sort of success. Even if push up the table a bit, that'll only go one way.
Well, they're coming in now. They're coming in now like a mouse trap with no cheese.
Yeah.
No, we have had our chips.
But no,
Tony, have you done your 1 to 11? I'm not sure whether we sorted that out with you.
Well, there was too many actually to name.
Oh, right, okay. We'll skip that one then.
Even Guardiola ain't got that many players available that I've got 1 to 11.
More than Barry Fry.
Yeah. More than Barry.
Yeah. Tony, did you ever fancy management?
No, never came about really. I used to coach, but even died of death really. I actually got offered the job at Blues. No. I'm going back. When I come back from the States, I got in touch with Kevin Broadhurst, see if anything's going, and the manager at the time was an ex-you-know-who manager.
Yeah.
Who came to the Blues.
Have you been educated tonight, mate?
Yeah, I've been. I've got there now. I've realised now. I've got to be careful.
He's just won his cup of tea back.
But just to put it in perspective, when I say ex, who manager, he actually said, "Well, Kevin and Ian speak highly of you, and we're going away for a couple of days on tour." He said, "Can you?" If we sort something out when you come back, we do need someone to look after and set up the reserve system. I went, yeah, great. And then while they were away, his ex-captain, whose name I think was Ian Ross, flew back from Dubai and he gave him the job. And that was it. It was I'd been off the merry-go-round for 5 years, but I'd end up coaching as well out in the States. So when I came back, it kind of went out the window, and I had a friend who worked, had his business in the market, and I ended up working for him. So I'll never know. But no, as a manager, maybe not nowadays. I know you can't fail. If you're a failure, they'll pay you off. So you can't really fail, but you want to win, don't you? Really, that's it in a nutshell.
That's all we want.
Yeah, it's about winning, really.
It's all we want. when we turn up freezing cold on a Tuesday night in February, mate, and it's peeing down the rain, all we want is even if we don't get the win, but like somebody said earlier, even if we get that performance, that heart, that desire, that spirit, and there is none of it left at the moment, zero, not an ounce of it.
No.
Or am I being too harsh?
No, I don't think you are. I think you know the players, or you know them, the ones that will give their all, and if it's not good enough, so be it. But you know, there's nothing worse than if it's a lackluster, and you don't want to think it's a bit lackluster. No one seems, you don't want to see him run through a brick wall for you, but you want it's a bit of passion in it. I don't know. We're old school. I'm in my 70s, so a bit old school. You know what I mean?
Same age as Nick.
You know, so
it's just 10 years younger than Auntie Linda.
Yeah, I'm sure you've got that for me,
mate. She ain't come on yet.
Can you say something about this, Nick? You said, when are we going to have some luck? I don't believe in luck myself, but
I know.
But I just look at this situation. We are 2 weeks away from the transfer deadline, and we tell our captain and reserve centre half he can go. Right? 2 weeks before the deadline. By the time the deadline comes, right, we've lost 3 centre halves. We've lost one who's gone out, has gone back on loan. One's injured, and obviously Harley Dean's not available. Now we finish up during the match. We lose another centre half who gets sent off. And we end up with an 18-year or 17 and 18-year-old midfield player playing centre half. Now, why was Harley Dean told then that he was on his bike? He could have been told once we got through this Christmas period where we're going to need everybody we've got, right? He could have been told then, when we got replacements to come in. But he was sitting on his backside somewhere getting paid by us. And we get the stuff by Plymouth. That's not bad luck. That's bad management. If you work on if it can happen, it will happen. We get rid of an experienced player, and we end up with kids on the field. Well, he could have played this week, next week, or whatever, till we got everybody fit back, and then said to him, "Right, thanks, mate." And he could have gone where he wanted then, but he's just not part of the club anymore, and we got no centre halves.
Do you think it's cash? Do you think it's wages?
I think that was I mean, they want to replace his wages with somebody cheaper. Understand that, but not when you got no players available, and it's. I mean, we finished up that match Saturday with 6 teenagers on the pitch. 6 teenagers, and I'm not talking about 19-year-olds. I'm talking about 16 and 17-year-olds. Yeah. That's poor management. That is, as much as we want to see the kids do well, they shouldn't be the saviour of the club. They should be coming into a side that's functioning, and so they can improve.
Yeah, now I get it.
The future.
A few other people do as well. Michael Wood said he a Watto for chairman. So you've got to support that there, mate.
I tell you what, I know what I'd do if I was.
Go on then.
What?
Go on then. Go on then.
First thing
you're the chairman.
Like that.
You're the chairman now.
Right. First thing is this Birmingham City aura that we're second class with this, that, and the other stops now. Right. We are the main team in this city. We have been. And we're going to be again. That's been the first thing, and we've got to lift this Malay. We've all talked about it. Everything's dying on its feet. We've got to stop that. Stop that. These 2 signings that we've made this week, for example, would have been quite exciting if they hadn't have been just filling holes. The centre half apparently was brilliant Saturday. We'd have, had he played alongside Harley Dean because of the injuries, we'd have been saying, we got somebody here, but he didn't. He had to play alongside 2 left backs and then a kid. So and the midfield player that's coming, wow, great. But we've had players suspend. What's his name? Craig Gardner hasn't played for 7 games. Because he was suspended for 4, and then he was ill for 2. We can't do that. We can't have that.
So what's the answer then?
Well,
you're highlighting the problem. No, we have to solve the problem.
We have to sell the club. We have to sell. When I say sell it, I mean make it attractive.
Right.
If for 40 million you could buy that club, right? It was sold for 80 million 10 years ago, and to sell it now for 40, you're thinking, if I got the money, I'd buy that for 40 million and I'd make it worth 800 million inside 5 years. If I got the money, let's find somebody who's got the money and sell them that idea.
And take the club back to basics.
Yeah.
Fancy pantsy football, we keep on saying it, is not the Birmingham way.
I personally think that if somebody came along and offered half the money they paid out, I think they'd sell.
I think they'd listen. Yeah.
I think you're right.
I think a third. I think they'd sell.
Yeah.
I don't think they even know who the manager is. I don't think they know who we played on Saturday.
They don't even know who Alan Watton is.
No, they've got absolutely no idea.
He's a German, for crying out loud.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's got to change. It's got to change its image. Its image in when we got in the Premiership. It was we were the business. We were the top team. We had good players, international players. I sit and watch videos of 2000, and I can't. It takes my breath away.
It's another world, isn't it?
He played for us. Mario Melchat, world-class player, playing right back for us.
De Gary.
Forsell.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best forwards in Europe at the time.
God, I'm so depressed now.
We're looking at with the greatest respect to I'm not knocking any of the players, but they ain't in that. They're a million miles away.
Denying that.
What you said about Tony? Tony was
right. Hang on. Yeah, sorry, Mr. Chairman. Can I interject?
Yeah.
Dom Kavanagh wants Blues fans to be represented on the board.
Well, that would be a wonderful idea.
Brilliant. Chelsea do it. Chelsea have introduced it,
and Swansea. Don't they?
Yep, Swansea as well.
Yeah, there's a few clubs. Yeah. Why not?
It needs somebody to know what the fans want. We've all talked about. We like players that get stuck in and give their all, and somebody needs to tell the manager that. It's no good buying a fancy Dan who don't put it in every week. You got to buy somebody who's going to do the business and put himself on the line. Not think, I'll take the money and run. If you're going to pay him a lot, he's got to do a lot for it.
Okay. Now, great comment just come in from Mark Brooks. Why has Lebo you ditched the 4-4-2 that got us out of trouble last season? We are a 4-4-2 club. We've always been a 4-4-2 club. We don't do this tippy-tappy football. It didn't work with Zola. It didn't work with Karanka. Why are we messing with a formation that we know works for our football club?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it needs somebody in the manager's ear saying, if you want to stay here any length of time, you play Birmingham.
Well, I'll tell you what then, Alan. I'll tell you what. You listen to the fans because you're the chairman. Get yourself up here and have a word.
I'd love to. I really would.
Great comment from Paul. All that matters to him, and I suppose to all of us, is winning. Doesn't matter how we do it, how we get there. We just want to win.
Yeah. I mean, if Al Qaeda came in and bid for us and took us over, and we started winning all our games, Premiership and FA Cup and that, would we care?
Well, Al Qaeda, yeah, I think probably.
No, I mean, I know I'm exaggerating, but would we really care?
Oh, mate.
Alan, no.
I can also say, not having the camera on me is brilliant because I can go to the toilet and nobody knows.
No, we've told them each time you've gone. Yeah, we heard the bucket filling up.
It's like that scene in Naked Gun when it's to learn.
Okay, into the last 15 minutes we go. We're only got about 12 and a half of them left now. And I saw some comments earlier. Little laughs people were having about a chip shop. So it's anything to do with the football and chip shop. Anything to do with football and chip shop, or what you purchase in a chip shop. There you go.
What
Off you go.
about Pitter Unlove?
Oh, Pitter Red Unlove.
Can I just say, Graham Haynes has just mentioned. He said, hopefully the fan-led review might come into force somewhere along the line. That could be a game changer from what we hear, and we'll talk about that in hopefully in a week or so, maybe a week and a half or so.
Oh, we've got Barry Fryer.
Tony,
Just speaking.
Going back to your playing days, what sort of memorabilia did you keep from Blues? Did you keep any shirts or anything like that?
Do you know, I haven't got anything. Not just from Blues, but from anything. I've just given it all, give half it away to kids. Yeah, it's just, it's, I don't know. I wish I had something now, but I haven't. Oh, don't I have? Tell a lie.
Stop. Somebody out there will have something with something on it to do with you, and I guarantee you, if not by the end of the show, then by tomorrow, somebody will have donated something to you, I promise you. That's what Birmingham City fans are.
Yeah, tell me, yeah. Oh, that's right.
Right, so if anybody out there's anything with anything Tony, I've got a plaster cast if you want one.
Yeah. And a few stitches.
Anybody out there that's got anything with a little bit of memorabilia for Tony Wanton, please get in touch with myself, Chris Brown, or any of the members of the team. There you go.
Sorry, Tony. Did you say you had something?
Yeah, I have got something. Sorry, I don't know if you remember the first game I played. It was for the third place of the FA Cup, and we played Stoke City at home, and they were the two losing semi-finalists. Blues had lost to Leeds, that well-known semi-final, and then Stoke had lost, and we played at St Andrews. Whether it was a toss-up, I don't know where we played, but it was just over the one game, and it went to penalties, and Paul Cooper was a goalkeeper at the time, and Paul saved about 3 of the penalties, which he became renowned for, actually, saving penalties. And it was a silver, you know, the jug, like the silver tankard. It was a tankard, written on it, the third place FA Cup, the year and blah, blah. So I have got one, I've kept that one. I think my son's got it. Yeah.
We'll see if we can get you something else, matey. Right, so we've got Barry Fryer, we've got Nicky Chip Butty, Gary Vinegar.
Gary Vinegar. That's a good one, Gary Vinegar.
Maradona Kebab. Robbie Pavloy. Hand of Cod Part 2. Mark Fish. Sepp Batter.
Set better.
Oh, clever. Somebody's
Coming out of the woodwork there, isn't it?
Chippy Clark.
David Batty Rowe Cole Postcard. Tony Wanta Kebab. Tony Curry and Chips. Gary Monkfish. Paul Potato. My belly's hurting. I wasn't expecting this. Poor mushy piece of Lido.
And the next one's quite good as well.
Savaloy Milosevic.
That's a good one.
Quality. Tony, I'll tell you what, mate, you won't beat the humour of a Birmingham City fan. There's no chance. You've got no chance.
No,
They're just brilliant. They have me.
We've got good ones there. Some very good ones there. A few good one-liners there.
Yeah.
We've got no club. We've got no ground. We've got no cash. We can still have a laugh.
Oh dear.
Tony, are you still in touch with any of the old boys? Any of the
Still see Malcolm Page.
On the show the other week.
Well, they're all round here, aren't they? Gary Pendry, his other son, Keith Birchin still stayed here. There's so many players, Phil Summerhill, who stayed here. What's the name? Johnny Giles, who played at West Brom, he still lives at Arbonne.
Oh, right, does he?
Yeah.
Harborne,
Yeah, and he stayed here, and the amount of players that stayed here. I mean, Joe Gallagher, obviously, Joe from Liverpudlian lad, great lad. See Joe a few times, and Trevor, obviously, and you know, all the lads really.
It's such a lovely place. That's
Kind of
right.
kept in touch and seen him. Alan Campbell, obviously, yeah, Alan.
Okay, some more good ones coming in. Patrick Berger is a good, well-voted Chip Pandiani. Catherine Berger, Robbie Savaloy, get well soon, Lindsay. You've not been very well. And Paul is asking, any good pranks or funny stories from your days at the Blues, Tony?
Well, there was a few pranks, and the biggest sufferer of it was Roger Hind. And Roger, you remember, was a big man. He stuck his chest out.
Took his teeth out and all, didn't he?
Everything, the lot came out. And he was very physical. But used to leg him over so many times. We went on a trip, and Roger, God bless him, he's not with us now. It was like a cove area where you could dive off the side into this bottom of this pond or lake, whatever it was. And the lake, I suppose, about 2,000 foot deep. Like, we didn't know it at the time. And he kept diving in, Roger, holding his breath. I can't go down to the bottom. I can't go down to the bottom. And he was coming up. So I got a big handful of the dirt off the side, and I dived in the water and just held my breath for as long as I could, about a minute or whatever, and come up with a handful of mud in my hand. And he went, "You've never got..." I said, "Yeah, it's not that far, Rod. You do it easy. Your breathing ain't too clever. You got to open your lungs up a bit and get some air in." And so you could literally wind him up, And if you was having a race with him in a pool at a hotel, you'd say it's a race underwater, but you dive in, then get straight out, run down the length of the pool, creep in the water to let yourself in. And so when he come up from like underwater, you're already at the other end. But he never really sussed it. God bless him. He was a lovely lad.
You could have killed him.
No, well, I'd never give it a thought, really. No, there used to be some tricks, obviously. Yeah, it was good fun, and a lot of one-liners, and Freddie, who was manager at the time, to be fair, he was no holds barred, and you knew where you stood. You couldn't argue with it. You knew the rules, what we could and couldn't do, and I loved it. This is a gospel truth with players. I don't know what the players are saying now, because they haven't got that sort to think about or worry about. They don't have. They'll go their own way, I think. But when you say to a player, "Do you miss playing?" and all that, they go, "It ain't so much the game. I miss the crack. I miss the banter with the lads, and that's the truth." Yeah. And that's why when they're together, they do nothing but take the mickey out of each other. There you go.
Okay, a couple more lines coming in. We've got Lee Scampy, Gary Hake, Nick Chip, what do you think about that one? Hand a card about that. Gary Rowett, David Batter, Keith Gherkin.
Gary Rowett. Keith Gherkin.
Noel Hake.
Noel Hake. What's Peter Richards? Peter Richards.
Pie.
Oh, Piker. Booker Richards.
Yeah,
Booker. Should have gone for Booker. You'd have had me howling on that one. Peter Booker Pie unloved.
Just before we get to the end as well, I don't know everybody's thoughts, but by far the best referee we have had at St Andrews, in my opinion, was the lady on Saturday. I think she did a fantastic job. And some of the decisions she made, they stood out. She really did do well. And congratulations to her.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd sentiment that, mate. Definitely. Yeah.
They put a bid in for that girl who scored the first goal. Blues. The men, I mean.
They should have done,
yeah. Nigel says, the owners of our club are doing what happened to Coventry City a few years ago. Acid stripping and eventually sell the ground. Unless fans drive these owners out, then the writing is on the wall. Heartbreaking thought.
Right, watch these spaces for the next week. I'd say certainly the next few days anyway. Right, we're trying to pull something together which will be quite startling and amazing if Craig can do the business as he is called Mr. Fix. So I'm sure he can, and I'm sure he will.
It's called a few things actually.
Everybody's saying bang on, Craig. She was brilliant. Stephen's girl, get well, Steve as well. Jeff Curry Saucefield, Darren Hooker Pie, sausage chips and Harley beans. Vinegar. Yeah, it goes on.
Right, time to say goodbyes, Nick.
It is, so this has concluded yet another Tilton Talk show. Well, the Mondays come and go so fast, and here we are into 2022. 11 years ago, we never thought we'd still be sitting here thinking, what the hell's going on this week? But we are.
Oh, dear.
What an amazing guest we've had on tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's fun.
Mark Adams.
Fun.
Mark Adams.
Hey.
He was absolutely brilliant, anyway.
And the one and only Mr. Craig Courtney. Keep up the good work, soldier.
Evening all, thanks a lot.
Mrs. Brown. And Mr. Watton.
Hello, goodbye. Thank you, everybody.
Good evening all from the chairman.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Good night, fellas. Keep right on to the end of the road. Keep your spirits up as much as you can. We're going to try and do everything we possibly can over this next week. But the last few words are down to you, the one and only Mr. Sorry I couldn't meet you, Tony Want.
Well, I'd like to thank you all for listening and tuning in, and let's hope we will get it right, and sooner rather than later. But I know exactly, I promise you, how you feel. I really do. And I literally, Blues that's the first result I look for every week now, and I'm paranoid like we all are. And since having one of these phones, the only thing I know what to do with it is to press on the gizmo that tells you the results, and as you're going along, and it's the worst thing that happens because you're looking at it every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But that's it. It will change, As you say, you've got to keep right on, and that's it.
I just hope it's in my lifetime, Tony. Tony Want, ladies and gentlemen, thanks ever so much for all
Thank
the
you.
service, for everything. And,
You're welcome.
Cheers, Tony.
Take care.
Thanks. Thank you.
Good all.
Bye.
Goodbye.
From the Tilton.